New South Wales has marked 10 days of no new local coronavirus cases. Health authorities, though, still concerned the virus could be circulating undetected. Live to Charlotte Mortlock outside New South Wales Health. So, Charlotte, we're looking at restrictions being eased. They're always talking about the testing rate, but, it is a warm time of year, I guess, and perhaps fewer colds people have in New South Wales at the moment.
Yeah, that's always the concern, Tom. Obviously, we just had a long weekend, so we have seen quite a significant drop in testing numbers. Yesterday, we saw 7,000. The figures have just come through in the past few moments for today, and we saw 9,700. That is well below certainly what the health authorities would hope at. 25,000 is their aim. But as you say, it is summer. People have less cold symptoms, so there's certainly less people presenting for testing. Mix that with the fact that it was a long weekend. But it really is important that we do get those testing numbers up to see these restrictions easing. They've been promised to the New South Wales public for almost 2 weeks now. The Premier deciding last week to delay this, but she had promised that, in fact, that they would be better than what they were pre-Avalon cluster. Now, what would that mean? You'd be allowed 50 people in your house. You'd also see that 4 square metre rule reduced down to 2 square metres. One thing that is unlikely to change is going to be the mask rule. We're not sure how wide and how far spread that will be, on which sorts of locations you will need to be wearing your mask, but certainly on public transport, that is one of the locations. Earlier today, the Police Minister, David Elliott, spoke to Sky News about how hard it is to strike that balance.
Well, the Premier will make those announcements over the course of today. We should pat ourselves on the back, and yes, the Premier has indicated that there will be an easing of restrictions, but we won't be rushing into anything if the health advice says to the contrary. But I want your listeners and you to know that nobody wants to see these restrictions eased more than members of the New South Wales Cabinet. I can assure you of that.
Despite that good figure of having 0 new cases for a 10th consecutive day in New South Wales, there are concerns after COVID-19 was found in the sewage in Liverpool in southwest Sydney. That's a catchment from around 180,000 people. Now, that always does spark fears that potentially the virus is spreading among the community, going undetected. But the more likely scenario is, in fact, that this is an old case that is no longer infectious.
We've got Gladys Berejiklian speaking at 12:30. We'll see then what the latest is. Charlotte, thank you.